Well, here we are again. Another Saturday afternoon, 12:15 Eastern Time. Welcome everyone to Saturday live stream. We have a tour in store for you today. I've been trying to figure out all morning how I'm going to go about doing it. I think I came up with a plan, but yeah, so that should be exciting. Weather here is good. It's low 70s, like roughly 70 to 73 degrees. Very cool, very nice, low humidity. It's perfect time of year. Personally, I wish it could stay like this all year long, but again, that's just me. Let me know how everything looks. The video, the audio, is it sounding okay? Let me know 5x5 if possible, or 2x2 if that's the case. Let me get over to the comments and say hello to folks. We have 5 people here today so far. So we have Jeremy here. Jeremy is at work again, but he is going to attempt to join us. So welcome, Jeremy. Glad to have you here. I did see that you got the #1 spot yesterday. However, this morning when I launched the YouTube studio, it wasn't there. It's like YouTube has a tendency to do that, though, if you leave comments a little too early. Hello, TVJ. Welcome. I'm glad you were able to be available today to see the stream. Grish, welcome. Glad to have you here. Tim, welcome. Glad to have you here. Tim says, please hit the like button. Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that. Yep, that does help out the channel quite a bit. And Tim says, I'm here munching on salad with the washing machine spinning in the background in my kitchen, waiting for the stream to start. Pink waving. Cool. Thanks, Tim. Appreciate you being here. Terrell, welcome. Glad to have you here as well. Tim says in the 70s in the 70s, he's jealous. It's 50 over in the UK. Yeah, well, don't know what to say, buddy, but I'm enjoying this weather here, that's for sure. So, okay. What I thought I would do today is give you a walkthrough using the handheld cam. In fact, I have it set on the other side of the room now, pointing at the studio, because I want to give you a walkthrough of the studio itself. Just kind of pan through everything, talk about what everything is, and then I put together, I think, to better explain how it's all interconnected and routed, like the video signal chain and the audio signal chain. I put together a couple of diagrams that we can walk through to give you a better sense of how all this stuff here is put together. So yeah, so that's the plan for today. Don't have a lot else. I got a couple of updates. Just quick updates to run through. In fact, let me do 1 or 2 of them now. So I don't know if any of you use the Bose SoundTouch speakers. They came out back in 2013. And if you don't know what they are, they're the alternative to Sonos. That's Bose's competition to the Sonos music system, the multi-room music system. Well, back in 2013, I decided that I wasn't going to do Sonos, and I wanted to go out on a limb and try the new Bose stuff. Well, I did, and I just got a notice this week. I'm not sure if those of you who have Bose, and you might not even have it, but I figured I'd just put this out there as a PSA. I got this notice from Bose basically saying that they are discontinuing cloud support for all of the SoundTouch products until, well, they're discontinuing it on February 8th, 2026. The system will continue to function as usual up until that date. After February 18, 2026, features including integrated music services like Spotify, TuneIn, along with others, as well as multi-room playback, will no longer be available. But they're saying here you could still use the speakers through through the auxiliary, HDMI, or Bluetooth. So they're basically discontinuing all the cloud support and rendering those speakers that were once multi-room capable to just basically Bluetooth speakers. So again, don't know if that's important to many of you, but if you are using those Bose SoundTouch speakers, be aware, February 18, 2026, we lose all the multi-room and cloud support and integrated services. So looks like I'm going to be going more in the Sonos direction. I have Sonos soundbar and subwoofer in my kind of 3-season room. And I wanted to add on to that, not until the Bose speakers started to like either die or, well, this is a good reason, kind of. They're becoming end of life for the use case that I use them in, and that's controlling them from my phone with, multi-room audio. So I'll probably be moving over to Sonos, but I'll be scaling it a little bit at a time because that stuff's not cheap. But anyway, that's the update on the Bose stuff. Got one more update, but let me go back to the comments. Terrell says, getting back to the temperature, I would take 50. You're in the low 40s or 49s, 40s. Wow. Yeah. What does it say? Don't worry, I got this. I watched the YouTube video. I think I told the story a couple of weeks ago on the stream. I don't know if you were here or weren't here, but my wife and I were at a home show walking around, and you got roofing specialists, you got plumbing specialists, you got in-ground pool specialists, you got air conditioning specialists, leaf guard, like gutter guard specialists, all these home improvement services. And I never thought about it, but here I am, ironically, walking around, like a do-it-yourselfer saying, don't worry, I got this, at a professional home show. I can watch a YouTube video. So got a lot of comments on the shirt that day, believe it or not. A lot of people were saying, hey, I like that shirt. Hey, I like that shirt. But then when I thought about it, when I got home, the irony is, well, yeah. So Jeremy says only 46 degrees there where he's at. TuneIn went to crap. We used to use it in the radio station. Actually, of all the integrated music services that I used with the Bose system, I never used that. I used Spotify, Pandora, and iHeartRadio, but I never used TuneIn. So I don't know if Josephus is here, but I got the new mug, and yes, it is filled with my iced coffee. Let me get rid of this so it's not blaring on my face. I'm assuming the audio is okay since no one's saying anything to the contrary. Let's see. Taro says, yep, that's why I hate cloud-connected devices. Yeah, well, I get that. But the convenience, at the time, we were hosting a lot of house parties, and at the time, it was just nice to have soft music playing everywhere in the background, so no matter where you roamed throughout the house, you heard a balance of music in the background. Chris says, I will never buy something that depends on the cloud to function. Yeah, no, I get that. I totally get that. But I do like to have that multi-room audio. So TVJ says, it was in the 40s last night and I still wore shorts, and yes, I was outside working. Wow. You like the logo in the background over my right shoulder. There we go. Yes, that just came in this week. Neon light. So that's what I was talking about when I first revealed the new studio layout, that something was going up back there, but it was on order. It came in this week. I'm happy with it because it doesn't appear to be flickering. and I questioned the company who did it. I found a company on Etsy. It wasn't terribly expensive. I sent them my Photoshop file of my logo, told them the size and dimensions that I wanted. They had the colors right from the artwork, and I think it was like, including shipping, I think it was $120. So it wasn't horrible. And it's just something I wanted to add to the space to kind of offset the two orange lights. But thank you. Appreciate it. Grish says, technically speaking, there's nothing stopping Bose from making it function over MDNS on the local network. Yeah, but I think you're probably right, Grish, but I'm sure that they just want to move away from that product line at this point, and I think this is a good reason. I mean, 2013 to 2025, we're looking at, 12, almost 13 years. So it's probably time, but I wish they would have just come out with, new lines. Hey, Bluey, welcome. Welcome to the stream. Tim says, oh, wow, just noticed it. I'm assuming he means the sign. Looks great. Thank you. Appreciate that. Hope someone hacks them and makes an on-prem program that will do what the cloud did, as the features are there, just not in the cloud. I think part of the aspect of using the cloud is to bring in the integrated music services. And I got that from Etsy. If you hold, Jay, I'll look for the link and put the link in the chat. Just give me a sec. There's been a lot of emails back and forth, so I just got to find the email with the link in it. Give me a second. I think this is it right here. Let me see. Yeah. Let me copy this. I'm going to do a link shortener because it's super long. Here's a link to the Etsy store. I mean, there's tons of them. I just, when I searched on Etsy, I kind of was like overwhelmed with the choices, and they all start in around the same price point. They all come on to you like starting at $9 or starting at $8 until you get them the specifics about what you want, and then they tell you what the price is going to be. But there was, my God, 50 to choose from, and I kind of just went eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and I ended up lucking out. So that's the link there. Haley, and welcome, Haley, by the way. Haley, Jay doesn't wear pants unless the wind chill is below -15. Wow. Hello, Keith, and welcome, and I'll wave back to you. Okay, so we're caught up with the chat. There was one more quick announcement I wanted to make, then I'm going to get on with the live stream tour, or with the studio tour. So let me just bring this over here. Oh, crap. Wrong application. Hold on a sec. Open with preview. There we go. That's what I want. All right. Let me switch over. Okay, the other announcement that I have is Grandstream released 10 new products this past week. I did a video on it. The video did really well in the first 24 hours, so I'm very happy about that. But the update is for those users who have the Grandstream GWN 7062E routers, the meshing routers. up until now, you were only able to mesh with another Grandstream GWN 7062E. And I think I talked about it in a video, and I did a video on how to mesh two of them together. In fact, I gave the two of them away in the live stream a few weeks back. This device right here on the right, the GWN 7660M Wi-Fi 6. It is a pluggable Wi-Fi 6 2x2 access point. This device here on the right plugs into regular AC power and will mesh with the GWN 7062E. So they said it was coming back when they first sent me the devices, but I wasn't sure when. And when they did the presentation a week and a half ago, I reached out to my contact and I said, hey, is that the pluggable device you were talking about? Because way back when the GWN 7062Es came out, and they would only mesh with their own kind, like each other, he told me that there was coming down the road a pluggable device. So I just wanted to clarify before I started telling people and spreading the news. And he said, yep, that's the pluggable device. The 7660M will mesh with the 7062E. But keeping those names straight is tough. So anyway, that is the second update. Tim says, Haley, that made me laugh. Here in the UK, we call pants underwear. Then I remembered the translation. All right. We got 12 people here, 6 likes. Thank you, folks. Okay. So I think I'm going to start the tour. First off, I want to change microphones. So hold on. Check. Oh, wow. Okay. That's never happened to me before. So I put the Rode Wireless Go here on about 15 minutes before the stream, did a sound check, and assumed it was still on. It either went to sleep or turned itself off. And I know the battery's fully charged. So anyway, let me lower this a little bit. It seems like it's clipping on the mixer. How's the audio? Can you hear me okay? I don't anticipate, Terrell, that's going to be all that expensive. I don't have pricing on it yet, but based on the fact that the 7062E itself is like only a $50 device, I can't imagine that plug in the wall meshing unit's going to be all that crazy expensive. Keith, thank you for the super chat. I appreciate it. Hold on. We're back with the studio mic. I'm having an issue with my Rode Wireless Go. I'm going to go get the other one. I'll be right back. Check, check, check 1, 2, check. That's crazy. Okay. All right, I have the other Rode Wireless Go 2. It comes in in pairs with one receiver. So this is the first time I'm actually using the other mic in the kit. I usually always grab the same one. So interesting. Okay, well, it looks like we have audio, so that's good. All right. Oh, I couldn't see the blinking here. Thanks, Grish. I appreciate that because it's like right there. I couldn't see it. So appreciate that. I'll try giving that a charge and see what happens. Let's see. No audio. Yep, we got that settled. Looks like the mic shut off again. Yeah, like again, like I was telling Grish, I can't see it there, but thank you for the heads up on that. Battery probably worn out and it had a tough time holding the charge. Yeah, I would imagine. Yep. Yeah, I wish they were replaceable batteries. I'm not sure if the newer ones, I don't think the newer ones are the Rode Wireless Go or the Rode Wireless Me or whatever the new ones are. Maybe Keith, you know, I'm not sure. Yep, audio good again. Thank you, Keith. I appreciate it. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't die out on me now. Now let's get to the tour. So I'm going to cut to a shot here. This is the shot when I first walk in the studio and turn everything on, which I kind of do from my phone. This is what I see. So that's the overall set. That's what it looks like if you saw a behind the scenes look. And that is me live there. I am wearing shorts. And I am wearing shorts and underpants, Haley. So, but that is a live shot of me. You could see me waving, my hands going up over the top. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to walk over there and grab that camera and kind of take you around the actually, let me cut back so you don't get crazy dizzy. I'll be right back. Let me go get that. Okay, so I guess I'll start from a wide view. So let me switch back over. Let me see what you're going to see. There. Okay. So now I'm standing up behind my chair just to kind of give you guys a view of where I'm sitting, from where I'm sitting. So if I go all the way over to the left, there is the 49-inch monitor. You can see I have a Stream Deck set up. I have the iPad running Mix Effect. And I'll give you close-ups of all that, but just let me pan over. If I go up a little bit and show you, to the left, there's one of my JBL monitor speakers. To the left of the light. If I go up a little higher, you can see the crossbar with the Sony a6000. I'll give you a closer look at that. Let me come down. You can see my multi-view there. That's a 40-inch Insignia. There's the other monitor. The camera right in the middle on the desktop mounted stand is the Sony FX30. The laptop in the middle is the H2R Graphics. There's the extended monitor from my Mac Studio. So that's running right now. You can see the ATEM software control. I'm on the audio page. And then there's the RE320 microphone with the Gravity low profile mic stand. And then there's the other light. That's my fill light. That's my key light. And we'll talk about them in a minute. So then if I just pan around this way, you can see my 24-inch Acer monitor. And then let me get closer. I got to get around the chair. Bear with me. We have right here the original HyperDeck Mini Studio with the fill and key. They don't make this anymore, and that's the one I changed the fans on to quiet it down, and it's been running ever since. There's the Web Presenter Pro, which I'm currently streaming from. Then below that, I have the ATEM 2ME. I have the DBX 231S or XS, no, S231S 31 band EQ 2-channel. And then below that I have the 266, that's the XS compressor with the enhancer and the gate. Then below that I'm having ATEM Mini Pro ISO, which I use to record. I take an output out of the 2ME and I bring it in to the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Actually, I bring a couple in so I can do ISO recordings as well, and then connect it to that. You probably, I don't know if you can see that. That's a Crucial X10 Pro high-speed drive, and then we'll walk around and talk about all the other stuff in the back. Then down at the bottom of the rack, I have the Sonnet enclosure with the DeckLink Duo cards in there. That's just a loose drive. That's not doing anything right now. In the back there, you'll get a better view from the other side, is the, now it's in focus, is my Raspberry Pi, which is the background. Just all it's doing is running a still graphic full screen for my SuperSource background. Then I have a CyberPower 1500 UPS, which I still have yet to screw in, but the rack's not going anywhere. And down below that, I have a StarTech 8 outlet PDU unit. So that's what's going on in the rack here to the left. Then, as far as some props on the shelf behind me, let's see if I could sit down and there we go. On the shelf behind me, I have an old Edge Router X to the left, and then I have a Grandstream switch on the top, and my old Unify US 15 150 watt switch. Panning down, I have the rear PTZ cam, which is a live cam. I have the salt lamp, and then an old GWN 7052 router, which is no longer, they've discontinued that. Again, some more props. I have the Elgato light strip box, and you can see the Elgato light strips running underneath the sound panels there. And then just another empty box, and then that's the GWN 70, the original 7062 tower router. There's the light that's shining the cast behind me. My latest addition right there to the studio, and that's on the dimmest settings. It does all kinds of crazy things. It gets brighter, it could flash, it could do all kinds of things. I just kind of want it on in the background, and that's the dimmest setting. So there you go. As far as what's behind me on my other side is the plant on a box, and then my GXP 2135, that's my daily driver. And then there is just a little side lamp. Now, closer look at what's here. You got the RE320 on the gravity mic stand. I have a 32-inch monitor as my extended display for my Mac Studio. My laptop that I just bought earlier, was it this year or last year? I'm not sure. There's the Sony FX30 on just a desktop, on a ball mount on a desktop arm. There's a little better look at the JBL speaker. Coming down here, I have another PTZ Optics Move SE HD camera. That is my product close-up view camera. And then I have a bunch of remote controls. The little one closest to the PTZ camera controls the neon light, the logo. The one next to that, the black one, controls the, turns on and off the multi-view. But I have that all set up on smart switches, so I do all that from my phone. The round one on the left is a fan, ceiling fan, and the longer black one on an angle is the PTZ remote control, so I can control both PTZ cameras from that one remote control. And that's my GHP 611 phone. That's the phone that I did the collaboration video with Willie when we set up the phone systems between over zero tier. In fact, we left everything up and running in service, so that I consider that my bat phone to Willie Howe. But I don't abuse it, not at all. There's my solid state logic. This is the model SSL12. This is my audio interface. So I have in channel 2, I have my mic. In channel 3, which is the little coiled red wire, I have the receiver for the Rode Wireless Go. And then in number 4, this one here with the red plug, that's taking in an input from Blackmagic SDI to audio capture or a converter, and I'll explain more about that when we look at the diagrams, why it's going in there. And then I have my left and right outgoing feeding into the equalizer here, and then I have my left and right monitor out. And then again, my Stream Deck, and then the old iPad. It's an old iPad Air 2, and believe it or not, it still works, and it's perfect for running Mixeffect. I really don't do a lot with Mixeffect other than use it for creating super sources, because super source layouts are much easier to create and save on Mixeffect than they are on the actual Blackmagic software control. My studio lights, the Amaron 100D, connected to a 33-inch aperture light dome. I have the same on the other side. And then if we come across here, my JBL speakers are the 3 series, I believe it's 305p MK2. And then I have my Mac Studio there. I moved it behind the big monitor. Originally I had it in the front. I don't like it back here but I didn't like it in the front, so I moved it back here. But I don't like it here because I have to get up every time I want to, insert something or pull something out. So I ordered an under the desk mount that I'm going to mount towards the front of the desk, but that hasn't come in yet. And then I'm going to show you this mess. No judgments, guys, because you know how it is in the shoemaker's house. It's just never as neat as for your clients. But the back of this rack, you can see on the side, I have 8 HDMI to SDI converters. So those are taking in all of my HDMI devices, like the cameras and things like that, and converting it to bring them into the ATEM 2ME. So then, again, please don't judge my wiring. It started off neat, but then as you could tell, I wire tied some stuff there originally, and I came down the side. But then as you continually to add and change stuff, it just gets messy, and you know what? It's not going anywhere, so it's fine. So I have a bunch of other converters here, and what I'm doing is taking couple of the outputs on the ATEM 2ME SDI out into a couple of converters. These are the other way around. These are SDI to HDMI converters, and bringing them into the ATEM Mini Pro there, ISO, so that I could pick the channels that I want to take out of the 2ME and ISO record them into the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. This guy right here is the KiloView. Let me move some of these cables. The KiloView D350 decoder. So this decodes our RTMP, SRT. It decodes NDI, which, by the way, the product camera on my desktop is coming in via NDI, and we'll talk about that when I show you the diagram. And then there's the back of the Sonic card with the DeckLink Duo connections there, and then that guy right there is the Raspberry Pi I was talking about earlier. Okay, so let me see if I can get through here without killing myself. I think that pretty much gives you the walkthrough of everything here. So we'll go back to the comments for a second. If you have any questions on anything, feel free. Check, check, 1, 2. I'm back on the other mic. Let me kill this for a second. Okay, so that did work, so I'm happy about that. I'll just put this over to the side in case we have to bring it up again. Okay, back on the regular microphone. Let me make sure I'm not clipping here. Let's go back over to the comments. What tool am I using for chat? That's I'm using H2R graphics, Keith, on the laptop that I showed you that's on the desk. If that's what you mean. Yeah, for chat. Okay. And I also use it to bring up graphics, and I ran my opening countdown with it as well. New ones, not replaceable batteries. All right. Thanks, Tim. Grish says they mentioned in some announcements some time ago that they had heard the feedback on the replaceable batteries and will consider that for future releases. Well, that would be nice, because I would definitely cash in on a set of those, because they do come in really handy. But I'm gonna charge that one up, Grish, but I have a feeling you're 100% correct, because I've used it so many times and recharged it so many times. I probably went right through the charge cycles or close to it. Okay, 12 people here, 7 likes. Thank you, guys and gals. Jeremy says, is the neon light new? Yes. Yes, maybe. Yes, that just came in this week. In fact, I put it up there yesterday. So that is good to know. Thanks for clarifying. I'm not sure what I'm clarifying, but okay. As long as it clarified something to you, Jay, I'm good. Yep, got it earlier in the week. Yeah, we're going to go over that when I bring up the diagram. So, and hopefully you'll see the whole picture then. Hey David, welcome. No, I have not, Jay. Have you thought about getting the network adapter for Stream Deck so you can virtualize Companion? No, I have not. It's working. I don't have any problems with it. And what's that old saying? If it's not broke, don't fix it. Jeremy's saying thanks to Terrell. May have to see about something like that. It might be nice to introduce around the beginning of 2026. I was thinking about you, Jeremy, regarding a neon sign, because your logo, I think, would be perfect for it. Actually, I envisioned it when I was watching your stream the other morning. I think it was Wednesday morning, and then I watched your replay from last night's member stream. By the way, did you ever determine if that hard drive was actually failing, or was it something else? I'm curious. Let's see. Yes, link is in the chat to the seller. Hey Mike, welcome. Yeah, it's a fun setup. It's a fun setup. Nobody asked the question when I was showing the audio. The SSL 12, I mentioned that I have the RE320 in input number 2, the Rode Wireless Go receiver in input number 3. Input number 4 was the audio that I'm grabbing from the HyperDeck going through the SDI to audio converter. That's going into input number 4. Nobody asked the question why I skipped input number 1. But the reason is when I was doing the sports show, the host's mic was in number 1. So I just kind of, when I took that whole set apart, I just left it as is, right? It works again, so I didn't have to move mine around. Let's see. Keith says, but thanks, Mike. I appreciate that. Keith says, so many converters needed for the ATEM2ME plus support products like the HyperDeck and Web Presenter. Crazy. Yep. I kind of feel like I have a semi-professional studio set up here. But I did it. I scaled it over time. Trust me. It would be way too much just buy all at one time. Okay. What is SDI? So like HDMI, right? It's a way of delivering audio and video. But it has longer ranges, so you could send audio and video over longer distances without signal loss. To be honest with you, I'm not really quite sure, and believe it or not, what actual SDI, like what that stands for. Jay, I'm going to look it up, but it's probably standard definition something. Let's see. Oh no, serial digital interface. Okay. I never really knew what the acronym stood for. I just knew that it was what professionals in the industry use versus home users using HDMI, and that you can go longer distances with it. John Barker. Yes, that's his program, right? $80 license, one time, never have to pay for an update or anything, and works great. Good morning, Jason's Lab, or good afternoon. Yes, Keith, I put that in the chat a little earlier. I believe let's go back. New look. I think I copied with the URL. It's the URL, the shortened URL, up earlier in the chat because it was just really long. Jeremy says, I'm going to run some additional tests on the SSD that Pulse claims is failing, but I do have a replacement coming in as a precaution. Smart. The audio mixer stuff is way over my head. I could explain my setup, Mike. I don't claim to be an audio expert at all. If it wasn't for Joe over at Capture the Concept, who helped me out with this setup, I had certain needs when I was doing the sports show, so he had recommended this particular mixer. I'm not really very strong with it. I know how to do what I know how to do here in my studio and what I was using it for, but I'm by no means an audio guy. Yep, serial digital interface. Thanks, Jay. Appreciate it. You're welcome, Tim. TVJ says SDI can go 100 meters. Okay. You could use fiber HDMI for sure. Then you can go long lengths as well. In fact, a couple of jobs that I worked with Joe live up in Connecticut and New York, we were using fiber HDMIs to go like 200-300 feet. Keith said link did not work. Oh, okay. Let me go. I'll drop the whole link in there then. Hold on. Let me go back and find it. Sorry. Custom neon sign. Okay. copy. Let me just paste it into a new tab and make sure it works. Hold on. Yeah, okay. I'm going to paste the whole link in. There, that's the whole link. Yep, SDI has a locking connector, which is very helpful. Yes. Well, thank you, David. I appreciate it. I appreciate that very much.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in the house. Welcome, Josephus.
So, I got to tell you guys a funny story. What happened to me this morning when I came into the studio. I turned everything on. I sat down. I didn't realize that the Josephus clip was queued up on the hyperdeck. Sorry, well, I had a brain fart there. Didn't realize it was queued up on the hyperdeck, and I accidentally hit something, and that's the first thing that actually happened in the studio when I sat down was that. But it was coming over my monitor speakers because I had the volume turned on. Startled the life out of me. I laughed, obviously. Hey, Joe, welcome. I'm excited about it. I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed that they're entering with lower end type devices, but I guess I can see the rationale there because, you know, why come in with high end devices if they don't know how it's going to be received? So maybe their thought process is they're testing the market with these. I would have liked to have seen a 10 gig networking port on the desktop model. Not only the rack model, but that's just me. Speaking about NAS, I have a poll running. TerraMaster the marketing team reached out to me this week and asked if I was interested in reviewing their 2-bay F2-425 NAS. And I really wasn't interested. Well, they reached out a year or two ago too, and I kind of said no, but they're reaching out again. And so I thought about it, and I wrote back and I said, hey, I would be interested if you would consider sending me the F4 425, which is the 4-bay model. I really don't want to put the time and effort into reviewing the 2-bay model. So I'm waiting to hear back. So that's why I put this post up today. The poll basically, is anyone interested in seeing a full review of a TerraMaster NAS? So we have 15 votes so far. 73% say yes and 27% say nay. Okay. Joe caught a cold on the plane. That happens. I've had that happen to me before. Jay says, I used SDI over fiber last night because the run was almost 300 feet and fiber is a lot easier. Yes. Thank you, buddy. Appreciate it. Since you're just coming in, here it is, filled with iced coffee. Cheers. Yeah, well, what can I say? I have to deal with it as well. I almost want to buy a super used Rode Wireless and replace the battery, taking it apart. Well, I got news for you, Grish. If that one doesn't recharge and hold the charge, I may just be doing just that. What do I have to lose? Yep, ads pay the bills or help keep the channel going, right? TVJ says, fun fact, SEI just doesn't carry video. It can also carry compressed audio, video, and data. I knew about the audio and the video. I did not know about the data aspect, Jay. Cool. Jason says, I have the F4 423 and love it. Good to know. Well, we'll see what they reply. We'll see what they say. They offered to send it to me. I wrote back, like I said, and said, if you send me the 4-bay model, I'd be happy to review it. And please send the drives too, because I just don't keep a stock of drives laying around. So we'll see how it goes. All right, let's take a closer look now at, so you saw the visual pan of the setup. Let's now take a look at how it's all connected and routed together. I broke it down into two different sheets. I broke it down into one being a video signal chain, and second one is an audio signal chain. Let's find it. There it is. And let's open the video chain, and let me bring it here. Let me minimize this to get the glare off. All right, let's do this. Let's do this. I'm just getting it set. Hold on. All right. Let's see. Okay. If you can't see that, I'll kind of go full screen. I could try to zoom in a little bit more. I want to keep the ATEM 2ME, at least the input side, on the screen. Okay, so this is just what's going into the ATEM 2ME, and then down below, I'll zoom up and slide up and show you what's coming out and where it's going. So here's the audio routing. All right. So, well, it's the audio routing, it's the video routing, but it's everything, including my computer monitors. So starting up top here with the Mac Studio, actually, let's go from left to right down here. The Sony FX30 is going into one of those converters I showed you on the side of that rack, an HDMI to SDI converter, and it's coming over here and going into the ATEM input 1. The A6000, same thing, going into the HDMI to SDI converter, routed into the ATEM 2ME input number 2. Then the PTZ desk cam, which is this view right here. That camera is right here. That camera is connected with via Ethernet over the network, talking to the D350 using NDI. So that's sources. That camera's coming in over NDI. The D350 decoder is decoding the NDI signal and sending it out its HDMI port on the back into an HDMI to SDI converter into the actual input number 3 on the 2ME. Okay. The D350 also has a second output. It has an SDI out. So coming out of the SDI out and going over into the ATEM in input number 8, that is the SRT mobile cam that I was walking around showing you. So I just kind of dedicate that second output on the D350 to be my mobile cam using SRT. Now, last week when Joe brought in the concert, he was streaming SRT to me over the internet, and that was also coming into the D350 here and going out the SDI into input 8 on the ATEM 2ME. Okay. Now up to the Mac Studio, I have my 49-inch display connected. I have the 32-inch display that I showed you earlier that was running the ATEM software control. It was on the audio tab, and now you're seeing What you're seeing is now on that monitor as well. That is coming out of the Mac Studio, going into an HDMI splitter. One side of the HDMI splitter is going into an HDMI to SDI converter, going into input number 4 on the ATEM2ME. The other side of that HDMI splitter is coming out and sending the signal to that monitor. That's how you're seeing what you're seeing now. So that's the story with the Mac as far as the monitors are concerned and getting the extended monitor signal into the ATEM2ME. Now, connected to one of the USB ports on the Mac Studio is the Stream Deck, which I use to switch and do some control of the show. Another coming out again with the USB here out of the Mac, going into the Sonnet enclosure, sending out of the Sonnet enclosure over SDI into input number 12, into input number 13, and input number 14 on the ATEM2ME. When I was doing the sports show, that's how we got the remote guests in. They called in via Zoom. Zoom sent it to Zoom. I was running Zoom ISO on, I subscribed to Zoom ISO at the time, and it pulled out each of the remote guests individually. And then the Mac Studio sent each of their video signals to the Sonnet enclosure, and the Sonnet enclosure sent each of the remote guests out to the 2ME using the DeckLink Duo card. And that's how I was able to pull in the remote guests using Zoom and Zoom ISO. All right, moving back over. I'm getting a little confused here myself looking at this. All right, here's that HyperDeck Studio Mini I was talking about. So I have the HyperDeck fill coming out, the SDI out. It's going into the audio converter, which I forgot to show you back on that rack. And then that audio converter is passing through the content from the HyperDeck into input 6, so that Josephus clip lives on the HyperDeck. It comes out, goes into the audio converter, SDI in, the SDI loop out is sending it into the ATEM2ME. Now, coming out, I'll show you on when we get to the audio diagram what I'm doing with the left and right. This is what I'm taking out of here, out of the audio converter, and bringing into the SSL, but that's on the other sketch. And then the other SDI out on the HyperDeck Studio Mini is the key, and that's going into 6. So the fill is going into 7 on the ATEM, and the key is going into, the fill is going into 6, the key is going into 7. Okay, talked about the Sonnet enclosure. The PTZ rear cam, that's the one that's on the shelf, the prop shelf in the back. And that's the shot in the opening countdown. That's coming out HDMI into an SDI converter and into input number 11. Now, I know you're all going to ask me, why am I doing that? And why am I just not coming out SDI out of that camera and going directly in? Only because I didn't have a long enough SDI cable, but I happen to have an HDMI cable and a long enough HDMI cable to use the actual converter. I could have just bypassed this converter here and come directly SDI out to SDI in. Okay, then the H2R laptop, that's the laptop that's on the desk here for graphics and for chat, is coming HDMI out into an HDMI to SDI converter into input number 16. The SuperSource little Pi computer is just running the background graphic for the SuperSource for what you're seeing here, the blue in the background. That's all it's doing, full screen. Coming out HDMI into one of those HDMI to SDI converters into input 17. And then you'll see here, it's a hack. I have the multi-view out of the ATEM2ME looping back into input number 19 so that if I wanted to show you the multi-view, I can bring it to program. But for now, let's go back to here. So that's why I have that looped out. I rarely ever have to do that. In fact, I don't think I've ever done that, but I have it set up that way just in case, for whatever reason, I'm doing a tutorial and I need to show the multi-view. All right, so let me finish this and then we'll go to the comments and then pick up with the audio. The audio side's not as detailed. The audio side's a little bit more straightforward. Okay, coming out on the, now these are the outputs on the ATEM2ME. Going into, output number 1 is going into the web presenter, which is what I'm streaming with. And then coming out of the web presenter with an HDMI cable going into a 24-inch monitor. So I could just monitor the, I see program on there, and I can also see all of the stats from the web presenter on that monitor there. Nothing in 2, 3, and 4. Output number 5 is taking my camera out of the ATEM2ME, again into the HDMI to SDI converter, going into cam 1 or input 1 on the ATEM Mini Pro ISO. Then I'm also taking out output 8, 9, and 10. Those were the remote guests. Those were coming in to the ATEM 2, 3, and 4. And then let's see, output number 11, again going into an SDI to HDMI converter for that multi-view monitor that I showed you earlier, the big 40-inch monitor. And then finally coming back out of the back of the ATEM Mini Pro ISO is the crucial X10 Pro 1 terabyte hard drive. Okay, that was a little intense, I know, but that's how everything is routed. I hope I didn't mess it up while I was talking about it, because I do have a tendency to screw things up. Let me bring up the audio. I'll go back to the comments, but let me at least get the audio sheet up on the screen. Again, the audio is a lot simpler. Okay. All right, let's go back to the comments. Okay. Yes, that never gets old. The first thing that hit me this morning in the studio, I mean, I was half asleep. I still wasn't awake, and it was like, "Hey, Josephus!" Cracked me up. Okay, so we copied that. We got that. Ads pay to bills. Where are we? Jay, okay, I think here's where we have to pick up. Jeremy saying to Jay, that makes sense. The SDI could do data since it's a coax cable type. Oh, yeah, I never thought of it that way, but yeah. Yep. TVJ, I will review the 2-bay with drives. Can I share that drawing? I think so. I'm using H2R, the tools. What is that called? H2rgear.com. You get 2 free. I'll put that in the chat. Okay, h2rgear.com. You get 2 free drawings, and then if you want more, you subscribe. What I typically do is you do have the ability to archive. So what I do is when I need more than 2, I archive the old ones. I freeze up the 2 free ones, and then I can build on that. I'm not sure if I can. I have options for share and save. Let me see if it gives me the option to export, or whether or not I have to pay. Yeah, upgrade to use export. That's what I kind of figured. But what I could do is take a screenshot and send you a PDF. Yes, you get your own device. H2R, well, it's John Barker, H2R, the guy who did H2R graphics, but it's just go to h2rgear.com and you just create a free account. Being able to route multi-views is always helpful. Yeah, Jay, like I said, I've never really had to do it because I'm really not an AV channel. Like Keith would have to do it, right? And if he was doing a tutorial, most likely. I personally don't normally have the need to route multi-view, but it was a hack. I wanted to try it. It worked. I left it. Yep, H2R gear. It's a lot of cable management, Bluey, and for the most part, I would probably say 60% of it is neat, 40% of it is a mess. But that's okay. You guys don't see all that. Joe says I didn't screw up anything. Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. Sometimes I'll go back and watch the streams and go, oh shit, I don't believe I said that. Like that was wrong. I meant this. And there's the link. Okay, let's take a look at the audio. If you guys are up for it, we have 14 people here and 10 likes. Hey guys, if you like the studio tour so far and you like what I'm showing you, give me a thumbs up. Let's have as many likes as we do people here. All right, let's go full screen here. All right, and there. Okay. The audio, like I said, is not as complex. Let me stare at this a minute. Okay, so my RE320 is coming into input number 2 on the SSL12. The nice thing, what I like about this program, by the way, you can create your own. You are limited to, like, I wish I could replace this black box here that says RE320 with an actual icon of a microphone, that kind of thing, or like when we were back on the other screen looking at the video gear, like the cameras, I'd rather have seen a camera icon than this. But what I like about it is you pin the wires. Like, for example, if I take that away and I want to connect that to input 1, I just drag and drop and boom, I'm done. And then if I move it around, you know, it adjusts dynamically. So it's pretty flexible. But anyway, the RE320 microphone's going into input number 2. So you could develop your own icons, but there's also, and save them and change the, you know, the layout. You could put whatever kind of inputs you want, and you have to specify, is it XLR? Is it a regular jack? Is it USB? Whatever. Because if let's say I accidentally labeled this here XLR, let me see if I can show you. Let's go in here. Here we go. The output on the little RE320. If I label this SDI by mistake, delete cable, it shouldn't let me connect it. See, now it says you can't connect SDI to XLR. So, you know, you go in and you can specify all these different types. You got custom, HDMI, SDI, Ethernet, Ethercon, fiber, USB, Thunderbolt, XLR, RCA, jack, XLR/jack, mini jack, DisplayPort, and the list goes on, right? So I want XLR here. so that I could reconnect that cable there. All right, so that's that. I have the Rode Wireless Go receiver going into port 3 on the SSL. I have now that audio converter. That audio converter is taking an SDI out, so audio and video out of the HyperDeck, coming in here. Now I don't have the cable here because it's two separate sheets, right? So the SDI from the HyperDeck out was coming in here. The HyperDeck fill out was coming into here, into the audio converter SDI in, and then coming out of, wait a minute. Yeah. Now I couldn't connect, talking about types of cables to connect, out of the HyperDeck SDI fill out into the audio converter. That's correct. Then I have two cables coming out. I have a Y cable taking the left and right out, coming into the input number 4. I was only able to connect, like I can't connect a second cable. That's one thing. That's one limitation. So I had to do it with one cable only. But I have the left and the right out coming as a Y into the other side XLR input on the SSL. The reason I was doing that is, again, going back to when I was doing the sports show, is any clips that I played on the HyperDeck, like the opening countdown, we had like a 5-minute countdown, and we had some highlight footage clips that we played during the show. The remote guests weren't able to hear that audio. So I needed a way to get that audio back to the remote guests over Zoom and Zoom ISO. And that was how I did it. I took it out of the HyperDeck SDI, brought it into the audio converter. It captured the audio, brought the audio into the SSL, and then the folks were able to hear the audio that the remote folks were able to hear the audio that played on the HyperDeck clips. At the same time, that audio converter here was passing through the SDI video and audio into the ATEM. So that's kind of how all that worked. I guess it would have been easier if I could have gotten that all on one page. Okay, what do we got here? And then we have the Mac Studio connected to the SSL via a USB cable, which basically makes the SSL the sound card for the Mac Studio. Okay, then we have the two JBL monitors, monitor left, monitor right, and then we have the main out and the main left and the main right going into the DBX 2-channel EQ, and then coming out of the 2-channel EQ, we have channel 1 and channel 2, going into channel 1 and channel 2 of the compressor. Oh, and then coming out of the compressor with, I believe, hold on. Yes, with an XLR Y cable, which I don't have here. Going into 3 point. Hold on. Not 3.5, 1/4-inch mic in on the ATEM. So coming out at YXLR, going to a 1/4-inch jack on the ATEM 2ME. I thought I was like, the audio just stops, it just dies. No, that's where it's going then into the ATEM 2ME. Now, when we were doing the show, again, a lot of this was built based on the sports show, and it still just works for me, so I left it. We would pan channel 1, which was the host, to one side of the EQ and compressor, and then pan everything else to the right, or to channel 2, right to the right side, so that I was able to EQ the host separately from my mic. He would be on channel 1, I'd be on channel 2, so he'd pan him. And then I was able to adjust his EQ independently of the remote guests. Listen, I was just happy to get a connection over Zoom. I wasn't getting too crazy about, EQing and compressing their audio. So that's it pretty much in a nutshell. I do have a link to a lot of this gear. I might have left one or two things out, but I have majority of it. I do have a link in a public Google document in the description of this live stream. So if you're interested in any of it, if you're interested in super clamp, or if you're interested in the rig that's holding up the super clamp, or the speaker stands, or the actual monitor speakers themselves, or any of the monitors, or the SSL, whatever I showed you today, minus cables. I don't have the cabling in there, like which cables I use, because everybody's situation is going to be different as far as lengths and things like that. But I have all the links in a public Google document if you're interested. Most of them are full disclosure affiliate links. I think there may be one or two that's not. And then items that were like can't be had anymore or have been replaced with a newer model, I just put the link to the newer model. For example, the 49-inch monitor. I can't find that particular one, but I found a similar one in the same price point. So, all right, let's go back to the comments. Do we have any? Let's see. I didn't screw up anything. H2R gear. How did the video playback audio sent back into the SSL not double send to the stream? That's a good question. Let me see. Let me bring up the SSL and see. And see, Mike Chow, if you're still here. This is where it goes above my pay grade. But let me see. If it's obvious. All right. So that came in HyperDeck. I'm just staring at the SSL screen. Joe, I honestly don't know off the top of my head, but maybe Zoom did that. Like, how did the video playback audio sent back into the SSL not double send into the stream? Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. I want to play the Josephus clip again. I want to look at something.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in the house.
No, that's not it.
Josephus.
Is this going out to the stream? I don't know. Hey, Joe, if you help me. You help me set it up then, so I don't know. I do the same. Sometimes I watch a video on how to do something and then years later forget how and why I did it. Well, I definitely had help. Like Mike, like I said to you earlier, the whole audio signal chain, that was all Joe Tech for Fun's brainchild back in the day. He helped me set all that up. And like I said to you earlier, and Joe, I don't know if you were here, I know how to use what I know how to use of it. But I'm not very strong when it comes to that stuff. So I really can't answer that question, Joe, but you helped me figure it out. So. Well, no, that's what I was checking. What I didn't show you on screen when I played the Josephus clip, I was looking at the stream audio, the ATEM, the audio master out on the software control, and it was definitely going out to stream. So I'm not sure. So um, I'm looking. No, it's on because it would have. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry. No, it's on. It's not muted because it would have to be on for you guys to hear it. And it would have had to be on during the sports show in order for the people on the stream to hear it. So we were capturing it from the hyperdeck in the audio converter, sending it in to the back into the SSL. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say maybe Zoom did that. Like with the mix minus stuff that Zoom's capable of doing dynamically. I really don't know. Exactly. When it comes to audio, I turn to you all the time. The SSL should feed, Jay is saying the SSL should feed the switcher, then the encoder. Now, listen, I don't know, but in any event, it worked. I can show the back of the hyperdeck. Just give me a second to get it set up. Hold on. Yes, I am splitting the audio out of the back of the hyperdeck. I'm grabbing it. I'm passing through the video and the audio through the SDI to audio converter and grabbing the audio only out of the converter and running it into the SSL. I'll show you that. I just got to get set up here. Hold on. Connecting, so I can take you back there. Okay, hold on. Now the SRT camera's going burp. Give me a sec. Let's try this like that. And let's try that. Let's see if the sequence has anything to do with it. Connected. Okay, I'm going to take you back there. Let me just switch mics. Check. Let's see if this dies again. This time the receiver shut itself off. I just don't want to lose the audio while I'm back there. Check, 1, 2. Might be a time for a brand new set of road gear. All right, let me cut over and go back. All right. Gonna walk you guys around. I hope if I lose audio, I apologize. Okay. Okay, so coming out of the back of here's the hyperdeck, here's the hyperdeck fill, here's the hyperdeck key. Let's do the key first. It's simple. The key is going down, and then the key is going directly into the ATEM. You're going to have to trust me on that. This one, the fill, is coming out. Let's trace the wire. It's coming. Here it is. Here. It's going into there's the SDI to audio converter. It's going into the converter. And then it's passing out of this wire here is coming out of the converter and going into input 6. You really can't see it because it's dark on the ATEM2ME. But then over here on the other side, I'm taking the left and right audio out. This cable here is a Y cable. If you track it down all the way, it's going behind the monitor and it's going into the SSL on input number 4. Do I still have audio? Yes, good. So that's how that's routed, and I will show you. I'm going to bring the computer on the screen. Let me switch audio again. Check 1 2, back on the studio mic. I'm going to play the Josephus clip one more time because I do want to show you guys. Let me load the Josephus clip. And I'm going to bring the computer on the screen. And we should see audio here in cam number 6. That's the hyperdeck when I start playing the clip. And you can see my main microphone here, and then here's the master going out to the stream. When I play the Josephus clip, we won't see anything here on my microphone, but we'll see it here going out to the stream. Watch.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in the house. Welcome.
Yeah, that was really stupid, right? I cut to it and you couldn't see it. Let me do that one more time. I won't, well, maybe I could play it without cutting to it. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. Josephus, and let me keep this on the screen and just hit play on the hyperdeck.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in the house. Welcome, Josephus.
So you see, we are getting audio from the hyperdeck back to the stream. So it's not muted, as you asked before. Alonzo, I'm currently using 2 Samsung 32-inch Odyssey G3 G30D, going to upgrade to the Asus Pro Art. Nice. I'm going to have to look that up. Let me take a look at that. I gotta copy the whole thing down though. Asus Pro Art PA32 UCG. Let's see what that is. Okay. And by the way, welcome, Alonzo. All right. Let's switch to the US website. And what was that again? That's fine, accept all. All right, so that was the Pro Art PA32 the Pro Art 32 UCGK. Let's click on that one. $32.99. Wow. Asus Pro Art display, 32-inch 4K HDR, 1600 nits, 1152 zones, mini LED backlight. Wow, 120 hertz. FreeSync to HDR, Dolby Vision, HDR-10, yada, 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 Thunderbolt 3, HDMI 2.1, VESA display. Nice. Wow. That's one hell of a monitor. $32.99. That is nice, though. All right. Thanks for sharing that, Alonzo. All right. Sorry, I didn't mean to go down the rabbit hole. No, that's fine, because that's what this is all about, right? I mean, I don't know the answer. Like I said, I'm just going to assume Zoom is doing its magic. But then again, Zoom wouldn't stop it from going out to the stream. It would only stop from them getting double audio back to themselves. So the audio probably only goes once. You must have the audio on the HyperDeck SDI in on to be muted, but the HyperDeck audio is coming in, not duplicated. I don't know. See, that's where it gets over my head, and I don't even understand what you just said until I read it offline and try to digest it. Oh, input 6 would also have to be muted. Yeah, and it wasn't. Correct. Yeah, 6 Acme. It was a commercial we played in the sports show. Can we see the SSL screen? Hold on, Joe. I don't know that I want to go down that rabbit hole, though. I don't know that I really want to dig into that, to be honest with you, but maybe. Let me just get through this. I think it's some to retire the Joe clip. Grish says, I think it's time to retire the Joe clip. You got to make me a new one, Jeremy. TVJ, start at your encoder and work backwards. What is plugged into your encoder? I would think it should be your switcher. My switcher is plugged into my encoder, Jay. The 2ME is taking an output into the encoder. When you say encoder, when I think encoder, I think web presenter. I wish I can make new Josephus clip. I'm open to suggestions. Why change a good thing? 4K for $5.99. What was I looking at then? My goal to get Rodecaster Duo and Black. Alonzo says my goal to get the Rodecaster Duo and Blackmagic Design 810 Mini Pro when device to do YouTube. Oh wow, okay, cool. Yeah, I'd like to see you do YouTube. That would be awesome. Tony, you retired from teaching. I am looking to teach as a sub when I retire. Bless you, Alonzo. That was the last thing I wanted to do after retiring from it full time. Seeing how I subbed early on in my career, like before I got a full-time job, and seeing how the middle schoolers treated the substitute teachers, there was no way in hell I was going to do that in my retirement. I give you all the credit in the world, and I wish you all the best. I'm going to touch in with you. I want you to touch in with me after you do it for 6 months, and let me know what you think. So, all right. The SSL interface. Yeah, I could show you that. If I can find it. There it is. Give me a sec. Okay, and cut. Okay. So here's the SSL interface. You're going to have to write in the comments because I'm not sure what you want to see. But we got over here, this first channel would have been Les, the host. This is obviously my channel. Analog 3 or channel 3 is the Rode Wireless Go. And then the HyperDeck channel is right here. Channel 4. Now I do have the levels here on channel 4 set to off. But when I play the clip, I'm not sure if I get audio there or not. Hold on. Guys, you're going to have to hear the Josephus clip one more time. Playing the Josephus clip. Let's see if we get audio here in channel 4.
Hey, Josephus!
Yep, we do.
Josephus is in the house.
So I'm not sure. So it's coming in. And hold on one second. I'm going to just do that one more time.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in.
Okay. Check. All right, I think I got it. Okay. If you notice when I speak, come over here to the right side, lines 3 and 4. When I speak, this is me right up here hitting around -10. But when I play the Josephus clip, nothing is happening, nothing's going. We have it somehow not going out to the stream here. Is it? I guess it's this control right here. Let me bring this up. Let me bring this up to like where the others are. I'm going to play the clip again and monitor this line 3 and 4. But I'm going to turn this down as it's playing. I want to see what happens to line 3 and 4 here.
Hey, Josephus! Josephus is in the house. Welcome.
Okay. I wasn't listening with headphones, so tell me. When I played the Josephus clip that last time, did you hear it? Oh, you heard it. But I don't know if you noticed it. It faded out here. It was actually registering here where my mic is registering, but as I started to fade this level completely off on the channel there, it kind of dipped down and wasn't registering. So I don't know, but I still don't know what's doing that, but I think that's what's happening. All right, let's go back. Tim says the Asus Pro R32 is third of the price that you brought up, Tony, plus 98%. Oh, okay. Correct. Only 3 and 4 go to the stream, and for some reason, it's not sending it. The SSL is not sending it to the stream, but I forgot how Joe and I have that set up. I guess it's just the level knob on the software on the SSL interface. Alonzo, Mr. Tim Tech says, Alonzo, the Rodecaster Duo is great. I use for my videos on YouTube. Thanks. Oh, you're welcome, Timmy. Appreciate it. So that's it, Joe. Then, but I don't understand why. Like, I don't understand the science behind what's going on in the SSL. And I don't need to know. Like, I don't, maybe someday I'll want to know, but I guess that's how we did it. Well, eventually I'll want to know, but I guess this was the key right here. This was the key, turning down this level. But then, how are you hearing it in the stream if this is off? This has been off the whole time I've been playing it to you. So if this knob right here is only controlling sending it back to the remote guests, that's the part that I don't understand. But then again, like I said earlier in the stream, this is where it gets way above my pay grade. Okay. TVJ says you have multiple buses and are using 3 and 4. Practical IT says I'm also using a Rodecaster Duo. Very happy with it. 1, 2 must go elsewhere. So, yeah. I think we have it reversed too. Like the master fader is really controlling the monitors. So I think Joe and I have the monitors and the main outputs on the back of the SSL reverse. So instead of plugging the monitors into the monitor outs and sending the mains to the whole audio chain, we have it the other way around. And Joe did that for a reason. That was to give me knob control on the actual tactical surface of the SSL, to give me knob control of the volume level to control the volume of the monitors, if I remember correctly. But anyway, I'm not going to lose any more sleep over that. So that's that. Let's go here. Let's see what else. Okay. There we go. That's great. The SSL just froze on me. Hasn't done that in a while. Okay. Got that off the screen. Still got audio. Let me stop sending the SRT feed. Alrighty. What else do I have for you today? I am going to do the 25,000 subscriber giveaway. In fact, we are closing in on 25,000. We have, let's see, 24,974 subscribers. We're 26 away from hitting 25,000. So I'm going to, I know I said last week that I would have opened up the giveaway entry form this week. I just didn't get around to it, so I do apologize for that. I'm going to do the giveaway 2 weeks from today. So on, let's see, next week is November 1st, I believe. So on, hold on November 8th, Saturday, November 8th, we will do the giveaway, the 25,000 subscriber giveaway. I'm hoping by then I'm either close or I've hit it. I'm going to give away the Edge router, a brand new Edge router, a brand new UAP ACLR, and I said Beam HD last week. See, that's what I mean about saying things and I don't realize it until I go back. It's the Beacon HD Wi-Fi extender. That's going to be the package I'm giving away for 25,000. Like I said, the Beacon HD was tested here in the lab. It was never used in production. The other 2 devices were unopened. So that's that. Hearing it in the stream, input from input 6 into ATEM. Yes, we hear the clip via the switcher, split off from audio splitter. Yeah, you and I are going to talk offline, Joe. You'll have to refresh my memory. Something I don't really care to want to really get involved in knowing any more about the audio than I already know. Usually on a demand basis is how I work. I need to know, I learn. All right. And audio falls into that category. It's one of those things where when I need to know it, I learn it, but I don't understand it, fully. All right. That is the 25,000K giveaway update. I want to go over real quick the polls from this past week. I think there was only 3 of them. Let's go here, and then I'll go through the deck update, and then we are going to wrap this up because we are going long today. All right, so do you keep guests? Yes, that's the first one. Okay. All right, let me switch to here. Okay, let me get this off the screen. All right, so this week's posts or polls on the channel, do you keep guests on a separate VLAN? And the answer is always, sometimes, no, too complex, and what are VLANs? So 79% say always, VLANs are a must. 5% say sometimes, depends on the situation. 16% no, too complex. I just find doing these polls interesting. Let's see what this guy said. I always want to use VLANs, separate IoTs, cameras, and their devices. Then months later, when they call back, I guess he's talking about customers, because they have issues. I found they put their TVs in the regular VLAN, then they get those Alexa cameras and put them in the same VLAN, data VLAN, and makes a mess, and then they want warranty because I screwed up. Yeah, I know all that too well. All right, so that's that one. Let's go back to here. The last poll got a lot of comments. I was surprised. People chose to comment on it. Not this one. I think the other one, the next one coming up. When connecting multiple access points, do you go wired or mesh? 79% people out there who answered the poll out of 47 votes say they go wired, 15% go mesh, and 6% go with a mixed setup. Of course, I had somebody say to me, multiple access points are wired off the main router. Mesh is a repeater system. And that's actually what I meant, but I guess he didn't realize that's what I meant. I said, yes, that's correct. I'm curious to see who wires directly off the router or just uses the mesh system. And then he wrote back, I prefer WAP wired from the main router. I use mesh as a last resort. I really had not great success with mesh. It's supposed to overcome the halving effect of extenders, but I haven't experienced that. And I say 100% agree. You know, and then the last one. If you're running a controller, where do you host it? Oh no, this one here. That was today's. How often, be honest, how often do you update your networking gear firmware? 58 votes, 60% stay up to date, 22% I update a few times a year, 9% I update only if something breaks, and then 9% also say if it works, leave well enough alone. And we had 9 comments on that. We had interesting folks sharing. David was the first to share. He said, I update firmware if I see a pop-up notice that a new version is available or the equipment updates itself. If it is something critical like my firewall. In my case, however, I only allow read access to my security equipment and do not allow or use remote access from outside my network ever. Jeremy says, I try to stay on top of it and make a point to check firmware at least once a month. George Caballero, 3405, for my firewall, I wait 2 weeks in case something happens. Then they decided to go Microsoft way, but my switch is APs as soon as it comes out. Catherine says, I don't even know how to upgrade the firmware on my Chinese router provided by my ISP. I guess new firmware update when the router gets replaced. And Alonzo says he checks Reddit for any known issues, then backs up configs. So that's what's going on there. And then I guess the last poll that came out this morning, if you're running a controller, where do you host it? We don't have any votes yet. Locally in the cloud, don't have a controller, not sure what that means. So anyway, that's that. And finally, we still have 13 people here. 13 likes. Thanks, folks. We are going almost approaching the 2-hour mark. So I just want to do the deck update, and then we are going to call it a wrap. We made some good progress, though, on the deck update this week, on the deck. Okay. Alrighty. So this is the image I showed you last week. This is where we were as of last week. We only had almost half of the top rails on. So then this week, we have all of the top rails on. Yes, I know some of them are bowed. That's not a problem. Once we put the cross slots on, we'll pull them to where they need to be. We'll measure it out. Lumber is lumber. You can't help that. That's a look from the front. One of the things we added, which was not in the original design, were these angled pieces. I was at somebody's house last week. They had a pergola, and I saw that, and I said, yeah, no, I want to do that. So I went out and I bought 2 more 6x6 posts, and we added that this week. These still have to be cut down. I bought top caps for them to finish them off. So that's the front view. That's one of the angled views. That's the other angled view. And that's it. So making good progress. Up in here, we did manage to run the electric from inside the attic out. We're going to be putting an electric outlet junction box up here, dropping it down to an electrical outlet here, then dropping down to a combined switch outlet. So the concept is this. There's going to be a ceiling fan, an outdoor rated ceiling fan in the center here. The switch will switch the fan because I don't want power going out to the fan all the time. I want it to be switched because in the event of a hurricane or heavy winds, which we get here often, God forbid the fan gets ripped off, I don't need live wires dangling. So we're going to switch the fan so that when the switch is obviously in the down position, there's no power going up into the fan. And then when we're out there, if we want to use the fan, we'll flip the switch on, and then we can control the light and the fan from the remote control independently. The outlet up here will remain live, and that's going to be for those Edison string lights. We're going to string around the whole perimeter of the pergola. And then in this area here, Joe, I did take your advice once again. I'm going to buy one of those shell cases, mount it to the wall, take the cover off, and put a swing arm mount to bring the TV out to this wall here. So I'll just put like a cheap, crappy TV inside the shell box. When we're not using it, it'll be in here, secure from the weather, but then the plug will be here for me to plug in the TV when it's out and being used. And then we'll have an additional outlet down with the switch, combined with the switch. The outlet itself will be live, and that'll be for, like, I guess if I'm doing anything outside that I need to plug something in, like my live streaming equipment or whatever, I'll have a source there. Been given some thought to what I want to do outside as far as the network is concerned. See, I do have Wi-Fi out here. It reaches out here, no problem. I was thinking about just putting one of those, like the Grand Stream GWN 7701R, I think it is. It's an outdoor switch with a couple of ports on it. I was thinking about also mounting it here in this area so that if I actually needed Ethernet ports, I have them. But I'm not sure, because maybe I'll mount an access point out on the post here somewhere. Well, I don't know. I haven't really thought that through yet, but that's where we are at. So, yeah. And then Tim says, I don't have it in H2R yet. It hasn't updated. But Let's see, did it come in yet? No. I could see Tim says coming along nicely, looks good. Don't forget Ethernet ports. Yep. Mine packed up after 1 month. Mine packed up after 1 month outside. Packed up? I'm not sure what you mean by that, Tim. I'm not sure what you mean by that. Are you saying meaning crapped out? Is that what you're saying? Joseph's deck looks great. Thank you. For some reason, H2R is not coming in. It did this at the end of the last stream too. Oops, sorry. Hold on 1 second. Get the key off. There we go. Let me load up H2R again and see if it reinitiates. That was weird. Yeah. Nope. Okay. Well, so much for that. We are at the end of the stream. I will just read. Okay, so Tim says the outdoor switch stopped working. Did I have the right number? It was at the GWN 7701R. And if so, I think Jason had the same problem. He had a GrandStream outdoor switch. So I might look at this. Hold on. And then we are definitely taking it to a close. PoE network, outdoor PoE switches, and where is it? The PoE pass-through is the one I want. I'll bring it up in a second. Here it is. Okay. I was looking at this from Fast Cabling. It's an outdoor waterproof PoE pass-through switch. It's $285. It's an 8-port switch. It does come with the waterproof outdoor enclosure. If you look inside, it does have the 8 ports. It's PoE pass-through, so I could power it with 802.3 BT, and then I could run PoE devices off of it if I want. I might just go this route, although I was hoping to stay in the GrandStream ecosystem. However, I think you are now the second person, Tim, that I know of, and that I know that the GrandStream outdoor switch crapped out. So, yep. Let's see. 7701. Yep, that's it. I'm reading the comments off of the actual YouTube now because I can't bring it up. Joseph John Barker must have fallen asleep and H2R died. LOL. Longest stream in a while. Yeah, they've been averaging about an hour and 40, an hour and 45. Tim says that looks good. Yeah, the fast cabling, they're pretty decent. What about a GWN? Bluey says, what about a GWN 7660 ELR? Well, that's a possibility. That's also another possibility because that'll give me, if it's the one I'm thinking, it'll give me Wi-Fi plus ports. Let's cancel this. Now let me go over to the outdoor access points and see what they got. Well, you got the, yeah, let me look at this one. Okay, let's bring that up. GWN 76, oh, this is the 7664 ELR. It's an enterprise grade level Wi-Fi 6 access point, 6 gigabits, dual band, 4x4x4, self-power adaptation upon auto detection. Does it have the switch ports on the bottom? Well, it doesn't look like it. It just looks like it has, let's see, 7660 is the new one that's coming out, which I should be getting my hands on soon. It's just got the fiber and the one Ethernet. I don't know. I'm just going to have to keep researching and keep thinking through what I want to do out there. So, I mean, it's not necessary that I have an Ethernet port out there, but it'd be nice. All right. Let's see. Pop-up bar for pergola. I don't know about that. I am pissed that this is not connecting. Yeah. Oh well. And Tim says, yeah, I just recalled Jason saying the same thing too. So, all right, we got 13 people here, 13 likes. Keith, I don't know if you're still here. Thank you for that super chat. Much appreciated. We have hit 2:16, which is a 2 hour and 1 minute stream. So I hope you guys enjoyed the tour. I really like the Neon Link logo. If you have any ideas on what other changes or tweaks I can make to the studio, I'm open to it. Don't know that I'll do it, but I'm open to it. And if I like it, maybe I'd consider it. Trying to think what else. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the tour. I hope you enjoyed the diagrams. Jay, if you want a copy of those diagrams, if you were serious about that, hit me up in Signal and I'll send them to you. And Joe, if you want to chat offline, I know we're due a phone call anyway to catch up from the events this week. We can maybe chat a little bit more on that audio piece because you know my head gets cloudy when we talk about audio routing. So in any event, that's it for this week. 2 weeks from now, we'll be giving away the 25K, doing the 25K giveaway. I will be here next week. I'm planning on it. So enjoy the rest of your weekend, everybody. Don't do anything that would put you in any kind of harm's way or jeopardy. Just stay safe and enjoy the beautiful weather, regardless of whether it's 50 degrees or 70 degrees, what have you. And I'm going to say that's pretty much it for now. Take care, and we'll see you next week.